Okay, so I have another question here for you, Bob. Patron Kathleen, she says, can you please describe your ideal patient? Bob, what's your answer to that?
Yeah, this one I remembered. I was looking through my email and I remembered this question coming across. My ideal patient. Well, I think somebody that is earnest, that, they might not know what they want because that's therapy, but someone who's earnest and sincere, who's willing to kind of sit and dig in. If it's a couple, that they have a vested interest in their relationship, that they try hard when they're there. But, I think that I don't know any clients that come to my office and phone it in. And if they do, we would just end up talking about that. It's like, well, it doesn't seem like you really want to be here, and that could be a really interesting conversation. And then pay me.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a hard time answering this question because I think in my earlier years, I would have had a more easier time answering, because I remember saying things like, when I first started as a therapist, I wanted to treat musicians because I was a 24-year-old Seattle rock musician, and
Yeah.
I was in a band, and I thought that musicians had a lot of mental issues, and I also thought that bands had a lot of relationship between the band members themselves issues.
Yeah.
And my ideal client back then was to work with a band. Like, there was a documentary with Metallica when they had a therapist that was helping them get along better,
wow.
so that they wouldn't break up. You wonder if a therapist got involved with the Beatles, would they have stayed together, that kind of thing. Or with Fleetwood Mac, would they have had so much trouble in their relationship? And that was my ideal client. And I also certainly had a lot of clients that I didn't appreciate that much. Clients who didn't want to be in therapy, or
Yeah.
who wouldn't show for their appointments. I would, drive to my agency, I'd, rush through traffic, get up early, get ready, I'd, pack a lunch, get to the office, and then my first 3 clients wouldn't show, and I'd just be sitting there. Sorry. And I would show up to work, and they wouldn't. The first 3 clients wouldn't come to the office, and I'd just be twiddling my thumbs. Or early clients in the first few years of practicing, there would be a set of clients who would be really defensive with me, just really kind of nasty with me, or really just hostile or threaten me, in my early career. So I would definitely say back then, well, I don't want clients like that. Those people aren't fun. So, but in the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, pretty much every client I've had has been an ideal client.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, at first I thought, well, I can't really say the truth because what if my clients are listening? But then I thought about it another couple seconds as I was rolling through my internal Rolodex of my clients, and I thought, you know what? There's not really. I don't prefer any of my current clients over anyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's a privilege of being in private practice and being established. I think you just tend to attract a certain kind of client who really wants to work and is quote unquote higher functioning in a certain way, and doesn't have the sort of chaos that agency clients will sometimes have. And so it's much easier to work with clients. At agency, for example, you might have a 16-year-old who has attempted suicide a couple times, has run away from home, is getting into crimes and getting kicked out of school. And it's just a lot of worrisome stress for a therapist of like, oh crap, what do I do now? Whereas, my clients in the past 10 years have been mainly like, they really want to work on stuff. They're very caring people. They really care about others. They aren't defensive with me, really. They're really easy to connect with. I find the sessions to flow really well, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time where I mean, it must have been years ago, the last time I had a session where I was sitting there going like, okay, now what do we talk about? Remember those kinds of clients back in the day?
I worked at an agency where they had a contract with the school district to provide, on-site counseling service to the kids that were in, they called them the SBD classrooms. I don't know if they still call it that, but it was socially and behaviorally disordered kids.
Yeah.
That's such an awful label, but nonetheless.
Well, I think it was severe behavior disordered children.
Oh, I got it wrong. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you're right, but that's what I remember it being called, which is
Well,
worse
3 days
label.
a week. I had to go to 2 days to the high school and 1 day to the middle school and be in the classroom. And, that would have been fine, except that neither the kids nor me knew what the hell I was there for. So I used to dread going. I don't think there was anything wrong with the kids or me, but the situation was weird to all of us and we didn't know what to do. So that was nothing to do with the potential clients, because these were kids who did not ask for counseling. We were just sort of thrust upon them. And I thought about it a lot. Like, on the surface, it seems like a great idea. Provide in-school counseling service to kids that have trouble with behavior. Yeah, great idea. Except that what you don't have is a client. You don't have somebody that's volunteering. So I don't think they knew what to make of me, and I didn't know what to make of the situation. And the teachers were frustrated and disappointed because whatever it is that they hoped we would do, we didn't do. And it was altogether a fuck up and a waste of time. And I vowed I would never go in again. And actually what my boss said to me at the end of the school year is, yeah, we're not sending you back.
I mean, it's really sad because these kids are really suffering, and the teachers are suffering, and the parents are suffering, and it's natural for them to say, well, let's bring a therapist in.
Sure.
And then we show up and we're like, do these kids actually want to talk with me? Because I'm pretty sure that they don't. And I'm just kind of standing around trying to insert myself into the situation. And this isn't what therapy is supposed to look like. I'm not trained. I'm not a song and dance entertainer. And I don't have a role. I don't even have any power, and I don't want power in the situation. It takes a very, specific sort of professional to blend well into a situation like that. And you and I don't have the training or the will to do that kind of work. I've absolutely been there too. Yeah.
You've been there too. Yuck.
Yeah, I mean, not only for SBD kids, but also for, they call it anger management. I don't know what they call it today, but I mean, obviously anger management is a term, but they would, for whatever reason, like all the kids that were the most trouble would be put into this anger management group at these local high school and middle schools that were near my agency. And I was sent by the agency to lead these group therapy meetings. And they were called anger management, but really what they were was learning how to, regulate your emotions so that you don't get in trouble in class, which I guess is kind of anger management in a sense. But essentially, I had 20 of the worst middle schoolers under my, sort of direction for an hour and a half in the middle of the day. And that's a very difficult thing to do. Anyway, but to answer the question, Kathleen, patron, ideal patient, willing to work, outwardly loving, easy to connect with, and working on relationships primarily, because, someone could be really easy to work with, but all they want to do is talk about like quitting cigarette smoking, or all they want to do is talk about, I don't know, just something that's not as interesting to me as a development of self, attachment, security, relationship, reducing conflict, improving intimacy and sexual, intimacy, and connecting with who you are. Those kinds of things are I find that be fascinating conversations to have with my clients.
Yeah. My therapist says, so I get to sit with you for an hour and talk about these things, and be interested and curious and care about you and really enjoy your company, and then you pay me. That's a good day.